Nice to see you, Seth. How are you, sir? Yeah, I think so. I think that I actually know this person's last name. I've heard of him. That's an improvement on the last two, but I think this NFL season something. It's Chiefs are going there again, and I don't want to say anything negative about Patrick Mahomes because they'll probably get a 15-yard penalty out of it. So yeah, sounds like we also might have a defensive coordinator too. So I think he was going after that head coach from the Saints. Yeah, I'm blanking out. I know he was a defensive coordinator before he landed the head coach job. He wasn't really head coach material, but he had a pretty good defensive scheme. Trying to think of who he was with. He might have actually just been with the Saints before. But yeah, I mean, new is good if you're a Bears fan. Yeah, so I mean, a few years ago, we know that the World Health Organization declared a public health epidemic of loneliness, where they were looking at the physiological effects of our ever emerging world of social isolation. And so, if I remember correctly, they said the physiological effects of loneliness has the same negative impacts as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And so one of the things that we've heard a couple orators before say is that we continue to operate, even though we're in the world of quote social media, we're becoming less social every day, and we've traded our front porches in for back decks, and so I'm ancient. I'm in my middle 40s, later 40s, and it wasn't too far long ago that I remember, my grandparents taking me on Sundays after church, and we'd go calling or visiting people, and you would just go visit other neighbors, and you'd go visit family members. And now we're in an environment where I pull into my garage, and I put the garage door down before I step out of the car because I don't speak to my neighbors or really have relationship. And um, I just think that's where we're at, sadly, as a country, and we have lost that sense of what real community is. I think so. I hope so. I think we understand that there's an issue of social isolation. We understand that there is an issue of emerging mental health needs. Now, whether or not we have been able to bridge those two and say those are interconnected, I don't know. I hope so, but I'll just give you an example. Is so if a colleague of mine in the past would have said, I lost my grandfather. He passed away. The response 20 years ago would have been, I would go and visit, I would bring a hot dish, I'd give a hug, and I'd say, I'm very sorry for your loss. Now I'll get on my computer and I'll do a little heart emoji on your post. And I think that that is uh, healthy empathy, social empathy. And I'm wondering of like, one, we're not providing the real support and I believe in the Jewish community, they call it Shiva, of just sitting with people and in their pain. Um, One, because we're probably uncomfortable with that. Two, we don't know what to say. But how many people really know us? Really know us. We all have masks and whatnot, but I'm wondering, we're in a community now where it's like, I know what your playlist is. I know what your Spotify account looks like. I might even be able to follow some of the things you've liked on your social media. But when, how many 3 a.m. friends do we really have? Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Seth. I think that you're on it 100%. I even believe that, and I'd have to look it up, but I think that they were talking about putting some type of mental health coding in for the Asian population, because over in China and Japan, social media is significantly larger than even here, and it was that. Anxiety, depression that's related to not getting enough likes on my post, that it was causing mental distress. And so, yeah, we are a microwave generation. We do not have delayed gratification. One of my favorite tests, whenever I was in undergrad and graduate school, was they called it the marshmallow test. And you'd put two marshmallows, or maybe you just put one large marshmallow on a plate in front of a child, and you would say, "Hey, if you don't eat this marshmallow in the next 3 minutes, I'll give you another one. That way you'll have two marshmallows." And time again, they would say maturation would be in direct correlation of delayed gratification. And so we don't. It's we want it now. We are a Amazon Prime generation. I want to put it in my cart, and I want it at my doorstep tomorrow, or yeah, yesterday. Yeah, I would agree. And again, I think you and we both lost our fathers, and I'm not 100% sure I put that on social media when my dad passed. It's been 10 years. I don't know if you did on yours, but I would ask, a listener that's just paying attention, is if you did put that post online, do you remember everybody that liked it, or do you remember everybody that was in the receiving line at the visitation? Because I remember who came to my dad's funeral, and I remember what they said to me. Um, that meant something. And and so that's just where we're at. I agree with you. It's like I'm extending um condolences to you, Seth, from uh an email or a Facebook like. Does that hit you in the heart does that build your community the same as if you and I had a deep embrace and I said, I am so sorry for your loss. Like that hits us at a personal level much deeper. Yeah. And I think in times of great joy and great pain, that's what community does. Community shows up. I think that's exactly the right word is um, I lost my job or I got a really bad medical diagnosis and I send you a fist bump emoji. Like what's that like um I believe as a man of faith, I believe that we were created for community and community was uh needs to be in close emotional and physical proximity. Like um uh, we know that babies will die if they don't have physical intimacy within the first couple of hours um, of birth, and so that's why it's important to get that. Well, in the mental health world, we call that oxytocin. It's a bonding chemical that's in our brain, and that's why one of the first things that a mother and a child will do is that they will put skin to skin contact and allow the child and the mother to know each other's scent. Like that's very important for social, emotional, and psychological development. In my opinion is that you find a group that fits you. And so I've recently heard I heard a pastor say this, and I think it doesn't even apply to spiritual, but it fits for social, is that you need to find your community that fits you, kind of like a shirt is you don't ever go to a department store and put a shirt on and say, oh, this doesn't fit right. I'm never wearing shirts again for the rest of my life. Um, one is being in my older 40s, that would terrify a community if I chose to take that. But I've got to find the shirt that fits me, uh, the one that because I'm made uniquely, and I think community is the same way. I also think that there's a famous social worker name is Brene Brown, and she says there's a significant difference between acceptance and fitting in. Fitting in means very quickly, it's fitting in is I go into a group and everybody's doing the Macarena dance. And I have to, in order to be accepted, I have to do the Macarena dance. I have to adjust to the group. Acceptance is I roll in there and I do the electric slide, and people are okay with that. We're all dancing to the same music, but they accept me for my horrible dance moves. And that's the group that I think we need to be in is we are way too long trying to fit into whatever society is saying is good and culturally acceptable. What I need to do is be in a part of a group that I can be my true, authentic self, and people are okay with that. And I'm okay with them being there. That is what this community needs. Yeah, so again, very quick review is that we are ecstatic and thankful that on our very first run for a mental health 708 levy, it passed on its very first referendum in early November, which starts a time frame ticking clock of things that need to happen. And so we've just kind of been chopping wood over here. We have an 8-member committee that has been appointed by the Piatt County Board that consists of community stakeholders, people with lived experience, people familiar with mental health, substance use, and developmental service needs. The county has set the levy. So the way that the levy was written was that it could not exceed 0.15%. And the county has chosen to set it at 0.1%, not taking the full levy and quite frankly, in my opinion, not putting a unnecessary tax burden on the county until we can demonstrate a need for that, which I thought was really wise on their part. So our next meeting is set for this Friday, where we have to do basically a lot of official protocol, appointing board officers and rules and all of that boring stuff. And then between now and the next time that we meet, which they're quarterly meetings, so I'm expecting April-ish, is that we'll be looking at the specific needs of Piatt County as it applies to mental health, substance use, and developmental services. It's estimated at this point it'll be around $626,000 if it was collected at the 0.1%. But again, that's an estimated. Yeah, just like it is at the DeWitt County Mental Health Board that's been established for quite some time, is applicants will have an opportunity to present to the Mental Health Board that for services they would like funding that are underfunded or unfunded. So for example, like if you have an outpatient therapy program and you're billing even at a Medicaid rate and you cannot show that you're running a deficit for that service, you would not be eligible. So these are for nonprofits and services that are unfunded or underfunded. I would just say it's an exciting time for our initial year. This is going to be kind of a pilot year of us learning. I'm going out and talking to community stakeholders, behavioral health providers, developmental service providers. I'm talking to school administrators, county officials, municipal officials, really trying to figure out where are the biggest needs. And we're excited to look at opportunities where we can really enhance those services in this county. Check me out online, piattmhc.org. Check us out on Facebook or give me a call, 217-762-5371.